You know, the reason why I'm so happy to have grown up in the 80s as an adolescent in 1987, 88, in those times, I have a few good friends and we were doing crazy stuff. We used to say for the fun of it that, you know, we are happy we grew up before phone cameras, social media, and all this instant being on, instant being videoed, instant being captured by someone. Remember back then, if we wanted to take a photo, we would have a film camera, meaning that you would have one click and you would manually or electrically wind forward to the next picture. When you had 24 or 36 pictures taken with a camera, you would take out the film roll and you would send it to a shop and they would develop it for a hefty fee. And it could take a long time. Sometimes you would have a camera sitting with only 36 pictures, waiting for half a year because it was costly, right? And then you would get paper prints and half of them would be underexposed with light or overexposed or blurry or something, and you would end up with maybe 8 good pictures if you're a poor average photographer. But it also gave us freedom not to have this surveillance. Did we do stupid stuff? I bet you. Back then, with my friends, we drove around in an old car and doing funny things. So there was this summer, I think it was the summer of 1987, my mom and dad decided they wanted to go on an 8-day vacation. So a friend of my mom's offered to come and stay with us. I was 18, my sister was then 16, and my brother was then 9 years old. So it would be beneficial if there was some oversight to us. And my mom happened to know who I was, and I was a little, I was wild, some said. I tried to be good, but, things happen when you're that age. So we had many funny things. I remember one day, one evening, we went out. I may have had a couple of beers, a lot. And in that time, there was a new movie coming out in the theaters. It was called Teen Wolf with Michael J. Fox. It was a story about a teenager who became like a party-going, clubbing werewolf when there was full moon. So, and it was, it was just an entertainment, action, kind of funny movie. But in that movie, I saw something that I just had to try, right? Michael J. Fox, I don't remember the character's name. He's street surfing down through the club district of whatever American town they were playing in, meaning he was sitting or standing on top of the car on the roof and surfing while the car was driving through town, yelling and screaming and having a party. And who do you think had to try that? I did. So one evening, my friend David, he was the designated driver because it was his car and that was his thing, driving cars. So I had to go there. I had to be on the roof while driving through town and yelling and woohoo. It was crazy. And as I say, I may have been beerly intoxicated. And at one point, because I was a little jumping on the roof also, so it made a big dent in the roof. It was coming down in the face of the people inside of the car. So he was like, hey, get down from there. He opened the window and get down, you big butt. I was like, no, I'm not getting down. I was having a party. So then he drove into the city square, and it was a pedestrian area, and he was driving around this statue that was in our city back then. It's still there. And he couldn't get me off the roof. So you know what he did while he was driving? He slammed the brakes. And I head dived nose first in front of the car, damaged completely all my knuckles as they scraped over the windshield wipers and in the gap between the engine hood, and I fell off to the ground. And he said, now you get into the car. And okay, you know, those things, stupid as they were, we didn't harm anyone. Was it legal? No. Was it illegal? Betcha. We had fun. We didn't harm anyone. We didn't fight anyone. We weren't aggressive to anyone. Nothing. We were just doing our best to have a lot of fun. So a couple of days later, I was having a driver's license. And remember, all this happened while my parents was in Gran Canaria, Mallorca, somewhere. And I was tending my father's shop for Model Hobby. I told you he had that little company. And I knew everything about the operation. So of course I was on duty to tend the work from all day, all 6 days of that week. So if I'm not misunderstood, it was a Friday night. I had my last nighttime driving lesson for motorbikes. I was trying to pass the exam for motorbikes. I had already my motorbike at home in the garage, and Dad had said, you are not touching it. You are not driving it while I'm away. You are not riding on the roads. You can drive in the driveway, that's it. And believe it or not, I was actually obedient to him because I had respect for my parents. So while I was going on this night drive testing the motorbikes, we were 5 or 6 bikes driving in a group. And David, my friend, who was always the driver, he asked, because he was a couple of years older than me, can I drive behind you? I just, yeah, you can take my bike. So he rode my bike and was driving behind the group. Next, we came out of a county road, and it was very dark. We could see city lights afar, but there was nothing going on, and we were going like 60. We had to learn, right? And be good boys. For later, David was got completely something has to happen. David was also crazy. So he sped up and blasted past us like, what? If you know some of these county roads, especially in Denmark, they have a slope in the middle to drain water away. So he was making a big, fast turn to the left side lane, passing us, and then going in over from the left side back to the right side lane. But he lost control because he was speeding so much and really accelerating still. I think he was going 130 or 140 kilometers an hour at that point. And he lost control of the bike. And he crashed so badly. The bike and him stayed on the road itself. They didn't fall to the ditch. So the bike was sliding, laying down. And I was like, whoa, that looks awesome. Because, there was metal sparks flying all over. And I didn't care it was my bike. Hell no, it was just fun, man. So it was just a light show. And all the others were panicking and braking, but I took the school bike I was riding on and rode over to David and stopped it. And, hey, are you okay? What happened, man? Why did you do this crazy thing? And he was like, it hurt, man. It really hurts. What he had done was while falling over, he was holding very tight, to the handlebars. But if you know a motorbike, we have a lever for the clutch and one for the brakes, right? So when he was falling down, the lever broke all 4 bones here when he was falling. So he was very painful. He was in a lot of pain. I remember specifically, he had the most hideous, cool-looking red leather jacket, right? And he was so proud of it. And then, of course, just jeans and sneakers. So he looked like a mess. He looked like something that has been through a meat grinder. He was so messed up. Anyway, we dumped the bike temporarily in the ditch, and he was allowed to ride behind of the of our driving teacher. We finished. He said, "Is everybody okay?" Yeah. We were okay. It was just a cool sight, right? And Davis was shaking, so he rode on the back seat of the driver of our teacher. A little side note, because all of this eventually came to my parents' account, because my driver teacher, he was our neighbor, next door neighbor. So there was no hiding. There was literally no hiding. Every detail got to them. Anyway, late at night, we find a trailer after we got home, pick up my bike and bring it back to our garage, and it looked like a train wreck. David felt bad. It was getting late. So we were maybe home 1, 2 o'clock at night after fixing everything with the bike, putting it in the garage. And I said, David, we should go to the ER. You need to go to the hospital because that hand is like really messed up hard. And he was like, no, I'll be fine. I'll just go home and chill. And then, okay. Next morning, as usual, it was Saturday morning. I go to my father's shop, open, do the business, attending customers and everything. The phone rang in the shop. It was David's mother. She was like, "What have you done? Wah!" She was crazy. She was crying. She was yelling. She was angry. She was mad. She was blaming me. She was blaming everyone because David, her little boy, would never do these things. And what had I done to David? I said, hey, I didn't do anything. He lent my bike. He chose to speed. He fell over. Yeah, but it was me, and it was always me, and so on. David's hand had grown to double size during the night, and he didn't have small hands back then. He was a lumberjack, so he was felling trees in the woods all day. He was a big, strong guy. His mom said, "You know what? When she calmed down a little, I came into his room this morning because he's normally up earlier, but he didn't. So I went into his room. His bed was covered in blood and mud and filth, and he was dirty and he was bloody all over. His face is his shoulders is scraped. His hands are completely messed up because David wasn't wearing gloves. And what have you done? Well, so and so. So, okay. We were not very good friends, but she calmed down. And I saw David after he came the next day, and he was like, "Oh, I don't feel good, man." I said, "Hey, buddy, we need to go to the hospital." So we went there, and he got a casting on to control the whole arm. He couldn't use his hands and fingers. And horrible story. Of course, if you know David, he could still drive, he could still work because he could still have a little grip in his fingers. It only pulled a little hard in his hand. It was only like he could feel it moving like, ugh. David didn't care. He was a tough dude. So, and then my parents came home. And for some reason, he knew already that almost when they came home. Dad was not stupid. He knew. And he was like, "So, did you ride on the motorbike?" No, it was David. Okay, well, since you only have the legal insurance and you don't have the full coverage, then you better fix it. we fixed it together. David was loyal. He was like, yeah, of course I take part in it. But what I'm saying with all these things is like the crazy things we did, there's no evidence, and I'm quite happy for that. As a joke, when I talk to other old dudes like myself, we joke often about that, hey, we are happy that we were born in an era before social media, because we probably would still be in jail, some of us, because of all the crazy things we did. But we never harmed anyone else but ourselves, but we did that very thoroughly. So we often say with this, we are happy we were born in this period. And for many things, we think we were probably one of the last generations where we really got a very, very good and free childhood. Did we have problems? Of course we did. But in some cases, we, the old dudes now, actually feel kind of sorry for many of the young people, of the problems, the bullying, all these things there is, together with being on social media 24/7. I mean, remember back then, if I wanted to contact a girl that I would like to date or something, I could either send a paper letter, drop it in the mailbox, and if we were lucky, she had it the next day. Or if I had the chance to find or get her parents' landline phone number, I could go through her mother or her father and say, hello, is Carla home? Can she talk? No, bang, sorry. And then you could try to write a letter. That was basically it if she didn't live nearby. And today people are like, dig, 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 dig. I do the same. It's not that, but it was a different time. So we all have to learn to cherish what we have and what we did have and be happy about it. That's what I want to tell you.